Good afternoon. So today we're looking at how we can cut from stress. And this has been very useful stuff in my life, and I hope that it will be useful in yours as well. As we're getting started, let's just acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land upon which we meet and pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging. And just take a moment to arrive in the space, to just check in with yourself, breathe for a moment, maybe roll your shoulders, let go of a bit of your morning, and just give yourself half an hour to you. Half an hour just for you. And breathe into that idea, and then releasing through the body. Very good. All right, so let's talk self-care for a moment. Self-care is one of those things that it tends to have an inverse relationship to the amount of stress we're under, doesn't it? And that's, of course, when we need it the most. So it's a tricky thing to really come to grips with. How can we really look after ourselves? And what's the paradigm that we're living in? And is that paradigm inalienable, as we sometimes think our paradigms are? Or in fact, can it be changed? And, who would have thought 2 years ago that we'd be living in a culture where everybody had to stay home and you weren't allowed to visit your family or your friends or go to the beach without getting fined, and all those sorts of things. Like, who'd have thought that that could be a reality? So I think COVID's actually shown us that shifts in paradigms, not all bad ones either, some good ones can happen, but the paradigms can shift. When it comes to the self-care paradigm, I think there's a lot of stories that we tell ourselves that cause us to value being busy over being balanced and in harmony with ourselves. And even being busy seems more important than being healthy. And I think this is a dominant story in our Western cultures at the moment. And it's been really drilled into us, I suppose, in our families of origin and even professionally. I know as a lawyer, there was kudos in being busy. It was a case of, you have some leverage in your community as a lawyer when you're someone who's seen as busy and all that sort of thing. But I feel like we've been down that road for a long time now, and we've got some pretty substantial evidence that letting that get out of control is just no good. So it's a case of how can we make a few changes and thereby support ourselves more. So I want to share with you a few ideas about what I've found works for me in my professional life over time. So the first one is thinking about how can I make a 5% time change in my life? And basically, acute stress brings on time poverty, and it can seem like it's impossible. And I know that when our nervous system is stuck on sympathetic mode, when we're in that activation sort of state, time can seem to be something we have absolutely none of. But if the same person in the same situation was in a parasympathetic state, they would probably be able to prioritize things like time in a way that might be more effective for their own well-being and thus their capacity to keep on keeping on in the long run. So 72 minutes a day is all that 5% time change is, so it's an hour and a bit. How do we carve out an hour and a bit for ourselves that is about looking after ourselves? So that's the first, I guess it's a challenge, but certainly something to contemplate. The next one I've found is very good is when we're feeling agitated or we start to feel anxious or stressed, to just take a moment, and nobody needs to even know that you're doing this because it's an inner kind of thing, but just to notice where that feeling is in your body. So for instance, a lot of the time, if I start getting anxious, it's going to show up in one of two places. One place is in the solar plexus area, where your ribs meet in that area. A sort of a grinding feeling can start there. And the other place I get it is in my neck and shoulders. I start to get quite stressed. Some people get it in their low back. they start getting back pain and so forth. Other people get digestive problems when they're like that. So it's just noticing, and take 3 long, slow breaths into the sensation that you're having in your body, with the idea of just releasing the tension that has gone to that part of your body. And what I've found myself is that if I do that, I seem to be much more kind of balanced and grounded to move forward with what I have to do next. And I tend to make better decisions. So you could give that a go. Just 3 long, slow breaths. And it can avoid that whirring sensation of anxiety getting you. The next one we're going to do in a little bit of detail in our meditation today, and that is the art of energetically letting go from the patients that you've treated during the day, or from interactions with other people in the workplace. And this one relies upon the fact that we are energetic beings, we are. If we're around people whose energy is pretty down in the dumps, that can be catching. If we're around people who are very anxious, we can tend to feel more anxious, and we tend to regulate to whatever's going on for the people that we're around. And so to get out of that sense of being regulated with that person who was having that problem, there's this wonderful technique that I learned years ago called cutting. Back when I had a pretty busy law practice, and I'd see a lot of clients after court, they'd come up to my chambers and we'd have conferences concerning forthcoming hearing dates and, taking evidence and so forth from clients. I used to get quite tired by the end of that part of my day. And then when I learnt this technique, I started to do cutting, energetic cutting. I'd use my hands like a metaphor of a scissors to cut from the clients, as though any energetic connections between us, I was literally cutting it. And can't tell you how much it changed my experience of my energy levels late in the day when I was seeing client after client and getting their evidence and having interviews about different things. And it only takes seconds at the end of any consultation to do this exercise, and we'll do it in the meditation today. But it's a great habit to get into, and I've seen it change people's outcomes in terms of how exhausted they feel at the end of the day, and for me too. Another one that I've found very useful is to pay attention to the transitions in your day. So it's, for instance, it's a transition when you get up out of bed and start getting moving. It's a transition when you go from work to home and home to work. So in the morning, off you trot to work, that's a transition. Coming home again is the particular transition I want to talk about, because the energy of the workplace, the jobs you've had, all the things you've had to think about can be quite a lot. And what I've come to is just little daily rituals by which we can finish our day and cut from what's happened, and then walk across the bridge, so to speak, back to your private life. And, we need to value our private life and our private time, because that's how we get replenished. And also we want to value our health and our family and our relationships, and have some downtime and some joy in our life from the people that we choose to spend our time with. So, for instance, in my particular life, there's a lamp behind me, and at the end of my workday, I make a thing of I turn off that lamp, I go over to the windows and I close the blinds, and I blow out, if I've had a candle burning or something, that gets blown out. And that's my way of transitioning from I'm not at work now, I'm at home. And it's an everyday thing. The practice probably takes about a minute and a half, but my inner being feels like that's it. I don't have to keep working now. I can let go. And it's so effective, actually, at transitioning from one part of my day to another part of my day. And I think everyone needs to find their own little rituals by which they finish their day. But at, maximum 2 minutes to do that. And I can assure you that it will help you manage stress. The other biggie, of course, is taking up meditation and having some form of meditation that you enjoy, that you find benefit from. Mindfulness has been very well researched and is a fabulous modality of meditation. There are many other modalities of meditation as well, and you just got to find what works for you. Those who can do mindfulness, and I love it, but it took me a while to get into it because I'd find that my mind just drove me crazy. And even though I understand that the busy mind thing is part of the process of releasing the stress when we meditate, it was just too much for me. And I actually found that guided meditations were much more helpful for me to get into a state of calm for at least the first 5 or 6 years, actually, that I was meditating. And after that, I moved to other forms of meditation, including, the stilling the mind and so forth that's involved in mindfulness. So you got to find your own thing. The next one is to try and deepen the connection with your family and your friends. And this does bring in mindfulness, not mindfulness as a meditation practice, but mindfulness in the present moment that you're experiencing. And so it's about that when we go home after making the transition from work to home, that we be present. And if you notice that your mind's going back to work, even though your body's at home, is to bring your mind back and just notice how you're feeling as you try and honor the moment that you have with the people at home, trying to be fully present and try and fully show up for the person you're at home with. And what I find is when I make an effort, even when I'm tired and you don't particularly maybe feel like making the effort, but if I do make the effort to really be present and connect with my husband or other people that might be staying with me, it really makes a difference. And I feel grounded in myself in a different way. And I can also notice feelings. So maybe I'm really enjoying this connection, or maybe I'm a bit bored, or maybe I'm agitated, maybe I'm a bit annoyed, or maybe I'm amused by the moment. But it's just to be the witness. Interesting, I'm experiencing this right now without any judgment. So it's accepting whatever is in that moment. But the deeper we can get that connection in that moment of going home, the better off you'll be. So now let's do a little process, a lift meditation. And this is a style of active meditation that's designed to, help the mind by working in and through the mind to release whatever might be stressing us. And I liked that image there because, in a sense, that guy looks like he's got to be dragged along to have fun with his, assuming it's his wife. She's sort of dragging him towards having fun, And I thought sometimes we need to be dragged towards enjoying life a bit more because we get so stuck in our stressed state and that it can be a bit of a trap. Anyway, let's get ready now for meditation, and then we'll have a little bit of time at the end to just look at any next steps. So just going within, you can close your eyes, put your hands face up to receive energy and your feet on the floor. And I like the spine straight. It just helps you with your meditation. For me, it helps to sit on the edge of the chair, not the back of the chair for meditation. And then just start noticing your breath, taking a deep breath in and releasing through the back of the body. Imagine you can breathe out through the back of the body. We're using a yoga breathing technique here to do that. It's a visualization. Imagine you can breathe in long and deep and then breathe out through your feet. Really, we're directing our attention. Breathe in again. And imagine you can breathe out through the whole of your head region. And then coming into the core of your being, I kind of think of that as my chest area, the heart area. And let's have the intention that in this meditation today, we're going to let go of stress. We're going to let go of the stories that we can't prioritize our self-care and awaken a trajectory towards a paradigm shift through which we can be highly successful and practice great self-care. So taking a breath in, and we'll do a few releases. If you're in a place where you can speak out loud, that's great. But otherwise, just say these things in your head and follow the breath patterns. Say, I now release all of the stress I've picked up today, and I set this free from my body, my mind, and my whole being now. And breathing in and releasing. And thinking about any of the clients or maybe other practitioners that you've been with today, any of your patients. And let's be prepared to release any connection that we might still be carrying to them and all of the issues that we were helping them with. Imagine that there's perhaps lines like string made out of energy between you and the people that you've been helping. And that every time they think of you, a bit of your energy can sort of flow their way. They feel great, you feel drained. We don't want you feeling drained. So let's form the intention to cut these cords. So just say, I now choose to cut all cords of attachment to all of my patients, whether it be today, yesterday, or any time in the past. I now set free all of the attachment to all of my patients and all those with whom I've worked. And breathing in, and imagine you can release those cords through the back of your body. And for the ones that still seem to be there, imagine that you can use your hand like a pair of scissors, and imagine that you're standing in front of yourself and you can just go cut down the back of your body. Imagine you can do that. There you go, cut, cut, cut. Alternatively, imagine a large pair of scissors dropping in from the cosmos and cutting all cords of attachment between you and whomever it might be that might have been draining you energetically. And breathe in and releasing. Let's do the same thing through the front of the body. Imagining any sorts of cords connecting you to people that you're going to see later today, or that you're seeing in the future, or that you've seen in the past. And they're just a bit draining to be around. And say, I cut all cords of connection with the people that drain me, particularly at work. And I set myself free to retain and enhance my own energy. And breathing in and release everywhere. Taking another breath in and releasing through the front of the body. And just being aware of any parts of the body that might feel a bit stressed, tight, where there's tension. And then imagine a whole lot of light pouring itself into that area from the sun. And say, I now release all of the stress and tension that I've been carrying, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. And breathing in and release wherever you need to. And breathing into your belly area. And down through the body and connecting with the earth through your feet. Taking a breath in, and imagine you can breathe all of the stress out through your feet. All of the anxiety can just flow into the earth where it's absorbed and neutralized, leaving you feeling more refreshed and more centered. And taking a breath in and releasing through the back of the body. Breathing in again and releasing through the front part of the body. Breathing in again, and any part of your body that's holding tension, release through there. And thinking about what you might be able to do at the end of your day. Just as a transition, a gentle, small gesture to let down the stress that you've been carrying all day, all the responsibility, to let it down and to set it free. What would work for you? What simple practice could you do that just takes seconds, that tells your inner being, your nervous system, all parts of self, I can relax now. Letting go and letting down. And imagine yourself going home this afternoon, and that you're more sparkly than you normally are. That you've walked across the transitional bridge between work and home, and as you do, your full vibrancy and essence is shining. And you're well received by those with whom you live. And you have a beautiful evening. And bring your awareness back to this particular moment. And just for a few minutes, just breathing slowly and deeply, and give yourself a few minutes of relaxation time. A few minutes just to be. And 3 more deep breath cycles, breathing in for the count of 3 and out for the count of 6. Just do that a few times. And now just bringing your awareness back into your body. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And do remember that if the meditations bring up stuff for you, there's a lot of help available. Lots of great places to get some additional support, including our website, thewbi.org, where we have a whole stack of free resources and free guided meditations if you like this style. Find out more about the PHN and what it offers at these locations. And there's a whole bunch of resources there to help you, lots and lots of options. And if you've enjoyed the meditation, please let them know. Feedback is welcome. And that's the link to give feedback should you wish to. And next Monday evening is our final evening meditation at 6:30, and it's going to be a breath and sound bath with live harp, which will be very beautiful, very relaxing. And then the final meditation in this series is next Thursday, where we'll be looking at some more tools for the workplace to envisage a new normal for ourselves. So thank you for joining us today. I hope that it's helped you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.